for the most part, when I started skating, I was really small and really scrawny. And that was the Dogtown Z-Boys era. So it was all about flow and style, and those guys were, they were men, and they could muscle their way into the air and lay back and do these things. And I was just like this little pixie that was barely reaching the top of the bowl. So I didn't have the style, I didn't have the speed. So I just started doing tricks. And because I did tricks, that was considered lame. That was like, I was a circus act. That's literally what they would say. Like I did circus tricks or baton twirls. And so I found this activity, sport, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, that I felt spoke to me so deeply, and I wanted to chase to as far as I could, but I was not accepted within the world of it, and the world of it was already considered outcast. Like it was a bubble for misfits, and so I'm in that bubble. I'm not accepted, so that was really isolating. And then later on, as I started to have more success, then I was isolated because I was the top competitor, and people were very critical of that. And also, in a lot of ways, they want to tear you down when you have big success. That's the goal, right? That's the reason we have tabloids. so I was getting judged extremely critically. For my performances, and even though I still loved doing it, it started to suck the fun out of it because there was so much pressure on me. And then I felt like an outcast because of that. Like I felt like an outcast when I reached the top of the mountain. But all those things kind of helped me to develop who I became, because I didn't listen to the haters. And then in later years, when I had even bigger success, I was already steeled for that kind of criticism and for being called a sellout or whatever it is, or haters on social media. I was like, you guys can't get to me. I've already lived through this with people saying it to my face and in the magazines. Sure, and yeah, don't get me wrong. I had friends. I had a very small crew of friends that I identified with, and that we kind of had the same type of approach to skating. So it wasn't that I was so lonely, but there was a great sense of camaraderie in the skate world that I wasn't part of. I think within recent years, I think that probably the best example is Jeff Grosso. Before he passed away, he and I had some really deep talks, and he told me how much he appreciated what I do for skateboarding and that I continue to do it. And I told him that I appreciated that he was irreverent and that he was holding the torch for the sort of anti-establishment skating and the reason a lot of people get into it in the first place. And he was able to convey that to a new generation, because the new generation doesn't understand how much we had to fight just to do it or to be accepted at all. Not that we were trying to be accepted, but to be able to have a place or to have the option to do it. And there's a new generation of skaters that grow up that the skate park is not down the street. There's a training ground over. There's foam pits. There's parents that are encouraging their kids to skate. That did not exist in our era.